Today I would like to discuss the aftermath of the Pikamee situation because I noticed that there is a lot of harmful misinformation, disinformation, Russian collusion, and more importantly, conspiracy theories that are being spread by bigots on Twitter. They are attempting to rewrite history through their lens of bigotry, and I do not want that to happen. I want to solidify history, and I want to educate the people on Twitter. So, what actually happened was that for the last several years on the internet, there have been some moral busybodies which used culture in order to empower themselves. So they would go around the internet swinging their big fat cock like a helicopter, and everyone was afraid of them. These are the activists. These are the people that nobody had the courage to stand up to. The internet bullies. And everyone was afraid to talk against them. Everyone was afraid to say anything. When the internet bully came into your timeline and said the most ridiculous, batshit crazy things, most people were quiet. They would submit out of fear that they would get brigaded if they had anything to say against the internet bully. And the internet bully refused to engage with everyone else. They viewed themselves on top of the pyramid. They viewed themselves as the nobility of the internet, and everyone else was the peasantry. And as such, they sat in their own high towers and they self-radicalized until they came up with bizarre statements like, if you play the Hogwarts wizard game, you are committing transgenocide. You are being literally Hitler. You are reproducing a similar event to World War II. If you install in the sanctity of your own bedroom, if you install a video game and you start playing, it's like creating a death camp. And they started believing their own nonsense. They started believing their own ideology. So when VTubers began playing the game, they would create a toxic culture of misogynismus that even Kotaku had to somewhat acknowledge that it's taking place. So they went out of their way, breaking the terms of service of social media companies in order to harass actual women because they were playing a video game. And it's at this point that people had enough. All of a sudden they realized, okay, well, the bullies are now going a little bit too far, and there needs to be some sort of backlash. There needs to be some sort of counter push. And when the push happens, the bullies pretend to be victims. They pretend, well, we did nothing wrong. Why are people criticizing us? Why are people against us? Why are people all of a sudden upset at us? We're not doing anything. But in reality, everyone knew what they were doing because everything they were doing was documented. And the worst thing that they did is with a VTuber called Pikamee. Pikamee herself didn't even play the Wizards game, but she said that she may. Like, she's thinking about it. And because of that, they doxed her. They sent threats, harassments. Everything is documented. Now, this culminates with the fact that Pikamee announces her graduation. And due to the fact that this is the corporate world, we will probably never know what actually happened behind closed doors. But suffice to say is that she left the company, and a lot of her close friends like Kayson and Shy Lily and many other high prominent VTubers were implying that this has to do with the activism and the toxic culture and the misogynismus that people on Twitter are bringing against her. And because Pikamee was a very wholesome VTuber, a lot of people rallied to her defense. And this was apolitical. Like, there were people on the left, there were people on the right. Almost everyone was deciding that enough is enough. We're going to stand against these bullies. They have been spinning their fat cock on the internet for far too long. Everyone was afraid of them. But, like, they have passed the line at this point. Like we need to tell them, like, no. And now it's when it's getting interesting, because Pikamee joins another company, and all of a sudden you have individuals who are saying, you guys should be ashamed of yourselves for criticizing the bullies. You guys have spread harmful misinformations. The bullies didn't do anything wrong. I mean, sure, there is ample evidence of them doxing, engaging in harassment, violating the terms of service on Twitter. But you know, all of that is one thing, but Pikamee, she just wanted to change companies. So all of you should be ashamed because you are spreading misinformation and tarnishing the good, prestigious name that the bullies are having. Now, I am bringing this up because I've noticed the talking point coming again and again, and I think, I may be wrong, but I think like Short Fat Otaku is the originator of this talking point. It's like when he made his videos, a lot of people took some of the ideas, and I want to make a rebuttal. Now, here's the interesting part, right? Like when you talk to people on Twitter, which is the target audience that I want to reach with this video, they don't really understand much besides Marvel movies, Harry Potter, and World War II references. So like if you want to communicate with them, you got to simplify what took place and try to make it in a way as if you were talking to a child. Right? So you're like making these Harry Potter references so that they can get what's going on. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a Harry Potter reference, but I do have a Lord of the Rings one. And I think the Lord of the Rings reference works perfectly here. You know how everyone was afraid of the Nazguls? Like the Nazguls were the ones spinning around their big cocks in Middle-earth, and everyone is afraid of them. No one has the courage to stand up against them. Right? Like when they're traveling, everyone is deathly afraid of the riders. And their whole point is to hunt down Frodo. Like they want to take the One Ring. So what Aragorn does is it takes Frodo and makes him sit at a different inn during that night. So he's sleeping in a different bed. And all the Nazguls, they get to the bed where they think that Frodo is sleeping in, and they start slamming their swords into the bed. They start stabbing, hoping that they're killing Frodo. But in reality, Frodo wasn't there. And here you have people on Twitter coming around, well, actually, Frodo is fine, you guys. Frodo is fine. He was in a different bed. The Dark Riders did nothing wrong. They didn't hurt him. Why are you guys upset about the Dark Riders? They did absolutely nothing wrong. This is what we're witnessing, you know? Like, finally, someone is standing up to the bullies, and they're calling them out, and they're criticizing them accurately on the toxic things that they are doing online. And you have, like, this group of individuals that are like, actually, you guys, they did nothing wrong, okay? You're wrong. They didn't kill Frodo. Frodo's fine. And it's the same thing, you know? It's like, well, they didn't get Pikamee to graduate. Pikamee is fine. And it's like, yeah, sure, she's fine. But, like, do you honestly think that that's not what they were trying to accomplish? When they were sending harassment and trying to dox her and do all of those things? Like, do you not believe that that was what they were trying to accomplish? It's the same thing with the Dark Riders. Like, they were trying to kill Frodo, but just because Frodo happened to be in a different place, does that mean that the Dark Riders do not deserve criticism? Or, I get it. It has to be 100% accurate criticism, right? So when you have people that are claiming if you play the wizard game, you are committing transgenocide, right? Like no one criticizes them for that. I mean, heaven forbid, you know, I don't see a lot of people making videos and debunking that claim. Like, no, that one is fine, okay? Because it probably has been uttered so many times. It's ingrained in our culture. And it's also the criticism that justified the misogyny that we saw afterwards. So like, for some reason, yeah, like they can say that, that's fine. But if you say, oh, they were harassing Pikamee, well, actually they weren't, okay? Like, Pikamee could handle it. She was just trying to change job opportunities and job careers. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.